Hi guys, Samuel Larsen here again. Wanted to do an e-commerce website audit, a quick one from Velasca Milano. And so it's velasca.com, as you can see here. And we'll do a full mobile audit, or a mobile concentrated audit only, because this is the most important device in the world these days. Now, I'm just gonna initially just take a look at the site. The key page is just like I would do for any customer, and it's going to be a pretty surface level. We're not going to go that much in depth, but this is a very interesting site in general, so it's going to be a fun one, I'm sure. So the first thing, I'll just open it in a new browser here so that I get the new experience. And as you can probably see already, it's maybe showing a little different than it was on the previous one. So the last one was the Android web view, and this is the Chrome one. So this happens a lot. You'll have tiny changes into how these browsers interpret these things, and overall that oftentimes becomes quite a significant thing. So sometimes you'll have people going straight from Facebook ads, and then oftentimes they're not opening it in Chrome, they're opening it Android web view. So that's going to make a huge difference. Here, very much like the headline, straight to the point, just like I advised before. And you also have the product here. I think the second person could also be wearing something a little bit more visible, and that could help showcase a further, a more broad product line. But it is a very Italian picture, I would imagine. That's what they're going for. Interesting, there was a cookie prompt, but as soon as you scroll down, the cookie prompt is gone. So I guess we didn't see that one, but basically they were noting you that they are collecting cookies, as we should in the European Union, but it's a little bit of a gray area, I guess. Here they are already pushing me forward to the newsletter. Now, the only thing I've done basically with this browser right now is I've just been and idling on the website, not doing anything. So I think it is premature. They could set more filters here. So it seems like they only have a time filter for getting this pop-up. And what you could do in many pop-up software these days is set multiple conditions. So you'll have the time condition, but on top of that you'd have scroll depth and maybe even exit intent or something like that. So you'll have more of a filter of who actually gets to see this. Right now I don't know anything of the brand if I'm the first time user as they see me as. So probably not the best timing. Here, alright, these are the benefits. What you often see is copywriters getting a little fancy with the language, take the first step. Here, since the branding type of site, I don't mind it that much. You are being a little creative to also communicate it. Oftentimes you see these kind of things, especially if it's a site that the designer has been creative, that many of the things are not actually that readable. So this could be an issue for many people. Either way, nothing too much to analyze here, but one thing you see is, okay, headlines talking about taking the first step. Then the second line is talking about subscribing, and then it's a get code. So which one is it? There's three different things happening here, and the call to action is not really tied into it. So that's like my biggest criticism of the pop-up, besides, well, everything else, as I said. But let's close it, and let's start going through here. So I see the most interesting part here on the side is this value proposition explanation is very interesting, and it's also very usable, something that you can copy if you are selling your own products, and especially if you're also selling them on, let's say, Amazon or on a retail stores. It's a way of communicating the value proposition that is very useful for many people. Then you have discover our secret video that it looks a little buggy the way it's displayed. Got the same here with the other one. I don't know why the container needs to be this big, and then these kind of things. But yeah, obviously these kind of technical things happen a lot. So they haven't maybe had me audit the site for the technical issues, but the video probably here should be autoplay, and it would be great to also communicate that it's going to be a video. Oh, scroll a little bit too much there. But yeah, the graphics look great. That's basically communicating the same thing as a video could, so makes the video less useful. I always dislike when you have videos where it's not obvious what the video is about. So here, obviously, if you think about it, you probably can deduct that it's going to be about the manufacturing process. But is it obvious that it's going to be? Because the user is just going to glance over this and sees like, okay, what is it? And then if they're not really interested yet, then they might spend a lot of time watching a video that they don't really care about. So that's going to be an issue. So that would be a better fit if it was more explained. But overall, like from branding's perspective, this is what's going to differentiate yourself from, say, cheap $30 shoes. So it's very much necessary. Here, they're assuming already that the shoe size will be a big objection point. And I don't hate the thinking here, but I doubt this is going to be that relevant at this point. So you're jumping from value proposition to branding to value proposition again, or objection handling, and that might be a bit out of place. Then you're going to a section where, again, jumping very weirdly here to urban adventures. So it can take a little while to understand that these are actually collections. It's not really obvious. It could be a blog post, like getting lost in the wilderness. What is it gonna be about? Okay, clicked on it. Looks like a collection. But at the end of the day, yeah, it is. It's a collection. Actually, initially it looks like a blog post, so it's not really clear. However, it's okay. You are a little creative with the collections. I think here this section would be better if it had a headline. You're just guiding people to somewhere that's not really obvious again. So it's a little bit of a usability issue, but these kind of things can also make it a little tiring to use the site with the increased cognitive load of like, okay, having to figure out what's going on. So that's those can be problems oftentimes. Then we launch into social proof afterwards. And this is a section I particularly like, actually. You have these chat heads here. And let me show it better. So when customers speak up, you can click on the customer. Here, if possible, I would like to add a little bit more info. Like, where is, well, I guess these are Italian men. Giovanni, Maurizio, and Luca. It doesn't get much more Italian than that. But even having age or location can help people relate. That could be good. I think they chose Italian men just to have that like really good social proof of Italians knowing their brands, what is actually a good shoe. Then there's this thing where you do have a headline that people are likely to read first because it's the biggest one. So first of all, don't assume then that people read this. But here, again, not really sure what goes from here. The story goes on. I'm expecting an email subscription. It seems like it's a blog. And it's in Italian. So if the entire other part of the site is English, then it's not going to work really well, is it? So either would rethink that or do something else there. And I think we have a pretty good typical Instagrams, and yeah, something also here, like these are very easy mistakes to make, but when you click go, and then there's like an arrow, so those are little inconsistencies that are easy to also fix. Similar to these, like, okay, do you just not check that these are crisp? Because things like these can end up devaluing the brand as well. Like, you spend all this time to create a really custom website, but then you overlook things like that. And then if you're always going to have the chat bubble, it's going to be in the way of these things 100% of the time. This is the only way to look at the footer. I would also question this, whether this about makes here any sense. Like, okay, they're shoe stores, but the people might be looking at these more, and also you have a completely different about us page here on or about us structure here on the menu. So might be a little issues with the prioritization. And in menu in general, so if you have collections here, shoes, accessories, collections, and then there's gift cards in the middle. Again, it doesn't really make that much sense. And so those are the things that are easy to also make a mistake on that. But in general, these are very well made. So you have this noting that it's a link going to a page, and these are drop downs. So very easy to understand, and also these pictures look awesome. So you have different types of shoes explained, because I bet most people have no idea what are derbies, countries, difference versus derbies. So gives a bit of a better idea. And also from this menu only, it's easy to shop. So you just take a look at this, and you instantly get a better idea of, okay, what is the overall collections or the shoe types, and then you can easily filter down towards these menus. And the great thing with these is that you're going to have less people in this all boots category. So this is where people go if they don't really know where to go for. And it's tough to be luxurious and show a lot of products at the same time. So basically, the more products you have, the less it appears to be luxurious. And also, if you are having a high quality images like this, you need quite a bit of space. And then you see the mobile scrolling becomes quite an issue. It's tough to form an overview of those categories. Not much to say about the category pages. Definitely like the fact that they are providing some copy here as well. So these are helping people to also look at the what kind of boots are these, like adventure boots and countryside. So that's already gonna be a differentiating factor. You wouldn't take these to, let's say, a nightclub, for example. Some cool little feature here that I haven't seen before. It's this sticky selector. So not sure if that is really a good idea or not, because what you could have is a couple more photos here even on the category page. And if you do that with the lazy loading, it's not going to be that big of an issue for the site loading times. And here looks like these are also loaded afterwards, so that's cool. Let's take a look at the product page. These are good JavaScript fixture here. It's also changing the name to cognac, the color. So moving on. Getting a little bit of an issue here with the product pictures. They have the same kind of thing here on the product pages. And you can take a look at these photos here. They are not zoomable. This is, I would say, some bit of a non-ideal thing, especially since you have product with such detail. You could take a look at these, for example. See how good it looks, and that could be something that people want to do. Now, here you have choose your size. This looks just like a regular text, could be a headline, but one thing I don't like here is that they have only the European sizes, where they could have all these listed, so EU, US, Canada, whatever there is. So this is something that could be better. But here, European sizes, and this drop down or this light box is done very well. So you have maybe a couple things could be better. If you are looking to convert first-time buyers, like I'm thinking they are, there's a huge amount of people that are not familiar with any of these. So they don't have a size in mind. And then the sizing will be a bit of a problem, because you'll have this text that is going to say, like, okay, the sizing is not actually a sizing that you're used to. So tricky, right? Yeah, I'm sure that they are struggling with that as well. Let me see if I can find a product that is in stock. I think if it's an out of stock, like, by all means provide an option to order it, unless it's just not going to make those anymore. That's that. I'm gonna scroll down the product page a little bit further. Really like this. It's probably expensive to make, but they have the budget for it. So this might be a little lazy to show this section again, since we just selected show size, but maybe they have info that people are actually concerned about this, or there's a lot of issues with this, and people might just go and select or scroll down a little bit just to see a little bit maybe from the reviews, like what do people say about the sizes, etc. So could be very well be justified. And a lot of things with crawl is that we're not 100% sure. It always depends on the situation a little bit. There's no answers to that are generally always right. Here I think you'll have the product reviews here, and they are clickable, but actually it's going the right places. I just think that this section could be shown before, or at least some of it, just to show the product also in action. This is a kind of product that is very dependent on the context as well. And then you have the newsletter in the bottom. You could have a sticky add to cart here activated when you go further down the page. So it is a bit difficult to go from here, but at the same time I don't dislike not having it, because it is a type of luxury product. It's not a Walmart, so I'd probably add it, but you know, Italians can be pretty strict with their websites. Here, this would be a perfect opportunity for customization. So I'm not currently checking these from any country like this, but what is my local shipping? So that's gonna be quite an important, especially on Shopify, when you have that only provided later on in checkout. So that's a big question. One thing I dislike a little bit is that this doesn't look like a cart. And once you add a product there, it looks like a little confusing. Like, okay, I think this just is a pop-up type of thing that is prompting me to check out, but I cannot close it. And then there's something else on the page, like maybe it's just upsells. So it looks like an upsell pop-up a little bit, and that can be a bit problematic. So we have some things that I don't know at all. Okay, these are supposed to be make the shoe maintain its form, and there's very little information. So for me to know about this, I need to know to also look at these pages and understand this better. So it's just very simply, you might be missing some headlines that don't necessarily make sense, or they're very small here. For example, the perfect addition to your style, so it's easy to also miss that. Just regular text. And here, if you want to go for it, like you have wallets, I think here, for example, then you would have a link to more of them. Shipping costs are based on the IP address. Okay, it would be great for them to also say which country I'm from. And here, this is gonna be a big one. There's no info on it. Anyway, here's something I see that can cause a lot of problems. So to do this, most things will be under $800. So it's going to be a common big objection. Right? You obviously want to know if you do this are going to double the price of the product. And then you have a POVA for it. Yeah, I think a very simple thing. Providing information on that. Like, how much is it going to be? It's one of your biggest markets, the US, and you don't tell what are they expected to do this. I've done similar things on my customers. So you have 3 reasons to buy from you, and here they go for the free shipping, free returns, secure payment. I'd always say that secure payments are more of an expectation. Your credit card details should not be in danger. And sometimes telling that can actually also encourage some skepticism or concern. So you need to be careful about that. But in general, the subtle the way that you can hint at it, the better. So that's about that. Now, there's a lot more in depth that we could go with this site. Obviously, for a page like this, About Us would be very important. And it sounds like they are using the story format. These will be really key pages. And it also, values can matter more these days than before. Especially when you have sites that present themselves a certain way, then it's not really a price competition that these guys are in it for. So some people might be buying from them just because they are that Italian style feel with traditionality that adds an extra layer of value, even if the product might be cheaper somewhere else. So overall, the front end of the site looks fairly good. If you compare this to your average Shopify store, made in with a free theme and trying to sell products from Oberlo, AliExpress, whatever, it's miles apart. Right? And if you think that people are used to an experience like this, and then you try them and compare this to your own store, it's obvious, like, okay, how much could you charge for shoes like these versus this site? The huge difference, huge difference there. And just from website design and making that a seamless branded experience can make such a huge difference in terms of how much average order value you can actually ask and really get also. So I feel passionate about these kind of things. And one of the reasons is this. It's not really about these shoes necessarily being better than the competition, but they are displayed that way. They are displayed nicely, like you would get from an Italian shoe store. So obviously they can also command higher pricing. Yeah, let's also cover something about the checkout here, because this is something I was noticing. I was expecting a standard Shopify checkout. This is pretty standard Shopify store, but then they do have an account creation barrier, and I never seen this to be a good idea. Maybe they want to have people really create an account for a reason, but it's just friction. You can have people create the account after the purchase to, for example, track their order, etc. But why would I need this? I'm going to get the email anyway from the Shopify fields. I'm going to get the first name. I'm going to get the last name. So only thing that's left is for the customer to create a password. And even that, you can create a password for them. And then if they do forget that password that you sent them via email, you just have them return it, like, okay, retrieve my password. And that's going to take care of this. So it's a completely unnecessary thing and huge waste. You have such a good site, and then at the last step you're messing it up like this. So it's a shame. Anyway, I think just removing this barrier would do very good for them. That's it. It was a fun thing to do a video like this. I think you also learned a lot, and interesting site in general. I really like this kind of branded e-commerce. I think it's the future because you can only go so far selling the same products as everybody else. Hope you enjoyed. Watch out for more website walkthroughs, e-commerce store walkthroughs, and practical tips, guides, and insights into how to optimize e-commerce stores and how to optimize websites in general. And I'll see you in the next video. Make sure to subscribe and bell icon and everything like that. And make sure you also comment. What do you think of the video? Motivates me to do more of this. Okay, cheers. And I'll see you in the next one.